So today we are going to be talking about the relationship between multiplication and division. How is multiplication related to division? How can you use it when you're dividing? And how can you use division when you are multiplying in a multiplication problem? Okay. In lesson 18, we talked about how to find a missing factor. Okay, that was the last thing that we did last week. We talked about how to find a missing factor. So searching for a missing factor is actually using division. You are having to work backwards, and that's what Luke just told us a second ago, is that you can use the inverse. So just to kind of look at this example, what's the missing number in this problem? 20 divided by 4 is what? Grace? 5, right. Okay. To play a game during physical education class, 18 students must separate into 3 equal teams. What number of students will be on each team? First, before we start solving this problem, I want to talk about some key words. Okay, what are some key words that are going to tell me how to solve this problem? What's one? Equal. Okay, equal teams. What's another one?
You're gonna need to be dividing 18 by 3.
How do you know? What are some other key words that tell me I'm dividing?
Well, it says what number of
Students will be on
each
team. Good. There's one other word that tells us that we're dividing. What is it?
Separate.
Yes. Okay, so all of these tell me I'm going to be using division. Okay, so if there's 18 students and we're separating those 18 students into 3 equal teams, okay, here's my 18 students. And I want to separate it into 3 equal teams. What am I doing to solve this problem?
Divide.
I'm dividing. Okay, so if I want to separate these into 3 equal teams, what is 18 divided by 3? 6, which means I should have 6 people in each of my teams, if I group these correctly. Okay, yes.
I don't think I have a multiplication chart.
Oh, I'll bring you one.
Okay.
I think I have extras. Okay. An art teacher plans to distribute 80 sheets of construction paper equally to each of 10 students. How many sheets of construction paper should each student receive? Okay, I want you to solve this problem on your whiteboard. If you're at home, press pause. When you're done, you can check your work. Okay, so as I'm looking around the room, you guys are showing me some different ways to solve this problem. The most common way that I saw was this right here. 80 divided by 10 equals 8. Now, is it 8 students? What is it? 8 pieces of paper. So 8 pieces. I also saw this on some of your boards. Okay, is that acceptable?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's the same thing, just written differently. Okay, here's another one. We can write fact families, and we've been practicing fact families with addition and subtraction, but we can write fact families with multiplication and division too, because they are inverse operations, which is what Luke told us earlier. And I'm so glad he used that vocabulary word, because we use it all the time. So what are inverse operations? Yes.
They're when you can reverse 2 equations.
Yeah, you can reverse 2 equations. Can you give me an example with multiplication? It can be simple numbers. 2 times 3 equals 6. So what would the inverse of that be?
3 times 2 equals 6.
That's still multiplication, but I want to inverse it. So I want to do division. So I would take 6.
6 divided by 3 equals 2.
Exactly, very good. So I want to write a fact family using 5, 6, and 30. So you should have 4 answers, and some of you are already showing me on your boards. Yes, awesome. If you're at home, press pause, write them down, then check your work. Okay, so most of you had 5 times 6 equals 30. Then 6 times 5 equals 30. Then you did 30 divided by 5 equals 6. And 30 divided by 6 equals 5. And that is what you should have for your fact family involving 5, 6, and 30. Okay, that's all we're doing today. All I wanted you to see was how multiplication and division are related. Can you use your multiplication chart to help you multiply and divide? Yes, you can. And this is what we kind of looked at last week in lesson 18. We said, okay, if I know that 9 times something is 81, I go over to the 9, down to 81, and I look and see what other factor makes 81. Okay, you can use that multiplication chart in so many ways. Your assignment today is on page 132, or it starts on page 132. Make sure you pay close attention because numbers 1 and 2 require you to write an addition or subtraction equation before you solve the problem. Remember what we talked about before. Think about how you actually solve the problem. The equation should be the opposite, the inverse operation. So if you're needing to add to solve the problem, what should your equation be? Subtraction, right. Okay. If you have to subtract to solve your problem, your equation should be what kind of problem? Addition, good. Okay. So you have the rest of class. You've got about 25 minutes, plenty of time. Make sure you use this time to your advantage. When you're done, you may read.